First contact and distress. The vast expanse of space had long been a source of wonder and speculation for humanity. Little did they know that their first encounter with an alien species would come not from the depths of space, but from right next door. The Xenorians, a peaceful race of bioluminescent beings from Alpha Centauri, had been observing Earth for centuries. Their advanced cloaking technology had kept them hidden from human detection as they studied the blue planet's diverse ecosystems and the peculiar bipedal species that dominated its surface. On a crisp autumn morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the landscape, the Xenorians decided it was time to reveal themselves. Their sleek, crystalline ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its surface shimmering like a giant soap bubble. The ship touched down in a meadow just outside a small town in rural Kansas. As the hatch opened with a soft hiss, 3 Xenorians emerged. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, their translucent bodies pulsing with gentle hues of blue and green. Their large, almond-shaped eyes blinked curiously as they took in their surroundings. Local farmer John Thompson was the first to spot them. He stood frozen, his coffee mug slipping from his fingers and shattering on the porch. "Martha," he called to his wife, his voice barely above a whisper, "you might want to see this." Within hours, news of the alien arrival spread like wildfire. Government officials, scientists, and media personnel descended upon the small town. The world watched with bated breath as humanity made its first official contact with an extraterrestrial species. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned xenolinguist, led the team tasked with establishing communication. Through a combination of advanced algorithms and intuitive leaps, they began to decipher the Xenorians' complex language of light pulses and melodic tones. As understanding grew between the two species, so did a sense of kinship. The Xenorians shared their vast knowledge of the universe, speaking of distant galaxies and the intricate web of intelligent life that spanned the cosmos. Humanity, in turn, shared its art, music, and the indomitable spirit that had driven it to reach for the stars. But the Xenorians' visit wasn't merely one of cultural exchange. As the initial excitement of first contact began to wane, they revealed the true purpose of their arrival, a dire warning that would shake the foundations of human civilization. A great darkness approaches. The Xenorian elder, Zix, communicated through the translation matrix. His bioluminescent patterns flickered with urgency. A species known as the Void Horde threatens to consume all in its path. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Can you tell us more about this Void Horde?" Zix's body pulsed with somber hues. They are a collective consciousness, driven by an insatiable hunger for energy and resources. They strip entire planets bare, assimilating any life forms they encounter into their hive mind. The assembled human representatives exchanged worried glances. General Sarah Chen, representing Earth's unified defense forces, spoke up. "How long do we have before they reach our solar system?" "By our calculations," Zix replied, his light patterns shifting to convey complex mathematical concepts, "the Void Horde will reach your system in approximately 5 of your Earth years." A hushed murmur rippled through the room. 5 years seemed like an eternity and a blink of an eye all at once. "But why come to us?" asked Dr. Amit Patel, a quantum physicist who had been working on theoretical faster-than-light travel. "Surely there are other, more advanced civilizations that could help." The Xenorians exchanged glances, their bodies flickering in what the humans had come to recognize as their equivalent of a nod. Zix continued, "We have observed your species for many cycles. Despite your technological limitations, you possess a quality that is rare in the universe: adaptability." He went on to explain how humans had repeatedly overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges throughout their history. From surviving ice ages to splitting the atom, from landing on the moon to curing diseases that once decimated populations, humanity had proven its resilience time and time again. "Your species thinks in ways that others do not," Zix said, his body glowing with admiration. "You see possibilities where others see only obstacles. This creativity, this human ingenuity, may be the key to defeating the Void Horde. The implications of Zix's words hung heavy in the air. Humanity, a species that had only recently taken its first tentative steps into space, was being called upon to defend not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. Over the next few weeks, the Xenorians shared their technology and knowledge with Earth's scientists. Quantum computers crunched numbers at unprecedented speeds, simulating possible strategies against the Void Horde. Engineers pored over designs for faster-than-light engines and energy weapons that defied the laws of physics as humanity had understood them. But not everyone was convinced. Skeptics argued that the aliens' warning might be a ruse, a ploy to trick humanity into expending its resources on a non-existent threat. Others believed that even if the Void Horde was real, Earth should focus on its own defense rather than trying to save the galaxy. As debates raged in government chambers and on social media platforms, a team of human scientists made a breakthrough that would change everything. Led by Dr. Patel, they managed to create a stable wormhole in a laboratory setting, a feat that even the Xenorians had not achieved. "This could be the key to our strategy," Dr. Patel explained to a room full of military and scientific leaders. "If we can deploy wormholes in battle, we could outmaneuver the Void Horde, appearing where they least expect us." The revelation sent shockwaves through both human and Xenorian communities. For the first time since the warning of the Void Horde's approach, a glimmer of hope emerged. As the gravity of the situation sank in, humanity began to unite in a way it never had before. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and expertise. A global effort, unprecedented in scale, was launched to prepare Earth's defenses and to construct a fleet capable of taking the fight to the stars. The Xenorians, true to their word, shared their advanced technology freely. Human shipyards, hastily constructed in orbit and on the surface of the moon, began producing vessels that melded Xenorian crystal tech with human innovation. 5 years. 5 years to prepare for a threat beyond imagination. 5 years to overcome millennia of technological disadvantage. 5 years to ready themselves to face an enemy that had consumed countless civilizations. As the first of Earth's new warships took shape in the orbital shipyards, a palpable sense of determination spread across the globe. Humanity had been challenged, and it would rise to meet that challenge head-on. In classrooms and laboratories, in factories and military bases, a rallying cry began to spread. "Brace yourself. Human warships are coming." The Xenorians watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. They had placed their faith in this young, brash species. Now all they could do was wait and see if that faith had been well placed. As the sun set on the 5th anniversary of the Xenorians' arrival, Earth's first interstellar battle fleet prepared to depart. Hundreds of ships, gleaming with the silvery sheen of Xenorian crystal tech and bristling with weapons born of human ingenuity, hung in low Earth orbit. Aboard the flagship, christened the HSS Defiant, Admiral Elena Rodriguez, the same linguist who had first communicated with the Xenorians, stood on the bridge. She gazed out at the flotilla, a testament to what humanity could achieve when united by a common purpose. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her XO announced. Elena nodded, her expression resolute. She keyed the fleet-wide comm system and took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Rodriguez to all ships. The time has come. We carry with us the hopes of not just Earth, but countless worlds across the galaxy. Whatever happens, know this: today, we make history. Today, we prove that humanity will not go quietly into the night. Today, we fight for our right to exist among the stars." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. Then, with a voice filled with determination, she gave the order that would change the course of galactic history. "All ships, prepare for wormhole jump. Destination: the front lines. It's time to show the Void Horde what humanity is made of." As one, Earth's fleet engaged their wormhole drives. In a dazzling display of light and energy, they vanished from Earth's orbit, hurtling across the cosmos to meet their destiny. The battle for the galaxy had begun, and humanity was ready to fight. Humanity's response. The wormhole jump was unlike anything the human crew had experienced before. For a fraction of a second that felt like an eternity, they existed everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, with a flash of blinding light, the fleet materialized in a distant sector of space, billions of light-years from Earth. Admiral Elena Rodriguez blinked away the disorientation, her eyes quickly scanning the tactical displays on the bridge of the HSS Defiant. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the residual queasiness from the jump. "All ships accounted for, Admiral," her XO, Commander Jae-hoon Kim, reported. "Minor fluctuations in shield harmonics, but systems are stabilizing. No sign of the Void Horde yet." Elena nodded, allowing herself a small sigh of relief. Their first interstellar jump had been successful. Now came the hard part. "Attention all ships," she broadcast across the fleet. "Maintain formation and begin long-range scans. We're in uncharted territory now. Stay alert." As the fleet oriented itself, the crew of the Defiant marveled at the alien star systems surrounding them. Twin suns cast an eerie purple glow across the bridge, their light filtering through a nebula that painted the sky in swirls of green and gold. Dr. Amit Patel, now serving as the fleet's chief science officer, pored over the sensor data streaming in. "Admiral," he called out, his voice tinged with excitement and concern, "I'm picking up some unusual energy readings about 2 light-years from our position. It doesn't match any known stellar phenomena." Elena's eyes narrowed. Could it be them? The Void Horde? "Possibly," Amit replied. "But there's something else. I'm detecting faint distress signals mixed in with the energy readings. It could be a civilization under attack." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They had hoped for more time to prepare, to gather intelligence before engaging the enemy. But if there were innocents in danger, could they afford to wait? Elena straightened her uniform, her decision made. "Plot a course for those energy readings. All ships to battle stations. We didn't come all this way to sit on the sidelines." As the fleet moved into position, they got their first visual of the conflict. A massive, writhing mass of biomechanical ships swarmed around a planet. The Void Horde lived up to its name, a darkness that seemed to consume the very light around it. Opposing them was a ragtag fleet of ships, their designs varied and clearly from different species. They fought valiantly, but it was clear they were outmatched and outnumbered. "Open a channel to the defending fleet," Elena ordered. After a moment, a holographic display flickered to life, showing a reptilian alien with iridescent scales. "This is Admiral Elena Rodriguez of the Human Systems Alliance. We've come to render assistance. What's your situation?" The alien's multifaceted eyes widened in surprise. "Humans? Here. We are the last line of defense for the Orcs' homeworld. I am Commander Slith. We cannot hold out much longer against the Void. Any help would be most welcome." Elena nodded grimly. "Understood, Commander. We're joining the fight. All ships, engage the enemy. Let's show them what humanity can do." The human fleet surged forward, their weapons charging. The Void Horde, sensing new prey, turned a portion of their forces to meet the newcomers. What followed was a battle unlike anything recorded in human history. The Void ships moved with an unsettling organic fluidity, tendrils of dark energy lashing out at the human vessels. But the humans had prepared for this, their ship's shields flickering with Xenorian crystal tech, deflecting the worst of the assault. "Fire at will," Elena commanded, and the space between the fleets lit up with a dazzling array of energy weapons, lasers, plasma bolts, and weapons that defied classical physics streaked across the battlefield. On the Defiance bridge, Amit worked furiously at his console. "Admiral, I'm analyzing their attack patterns. There's a rhythm to it, almost like." "Like what, Doctor?" Elena pressed, as she ordered evasive maneuvers to avoid a particularly nasty energy tendril. "Like a hive mind," Amit finished, his eyes wide with realization. "They're not individual ships. They're all part of one collective consciousness. If we could disrupt that somehow. Alina's mind raced with the possibilities. Commander Kim, get our best cyber warfare specialists on this. If it's a hive mind, maybe we can introduce some chaos into their system. As the battle raged on, human ingenuity began to shine through. Smaller, nimbler human fighters darted between the massive void tendrils, their pilots pulling off maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Each ship was equipped with a miniature wormhole generator, allowing them to pop in and out of existence, confounding the Void Horde's targeting systems. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, things were dire. The Void Horde had already begun their process of consumption, vast biomechanical structures burrowing into the planet's crust. Admiral, Commander Slith's voice crackled over the comms. Our ground defenses are failing. If the Void breaches our last line, all is lost. Alina gritted her teeth. They couldn't let another world fall to this menace. Prep our dropships, she ordered. We're sending in the Marines. Within minutes, human dropships were streaking through the planet's atmosphere, carrying elite teams of soldiers equipped with the best armor and weapons Earth could produce. Leading them was Colonel Fatima Hassan, a veteran of Earth's most challenging peacekeeping missions. As the dropships touched down amidst the chaos of ground combat, Fatima rallied her troops. Remember your training, she shouted over the din of battle. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every free species in this galaxy. The human Marines charged into the fray, their advanced weaponry cutting swaths through the Void Horde's ground forces. The aliens, both defenders and invaders alike, watched in awe as the humans fearlessly engaged in close-quarters combat with entities twice their size. Back in space, the tide of battle was slowly turning. The human cyber warfare specialists had made a breakthrough, introducing a virus into the Void Horde's hive mind. Chaos erupted among the enemy fleet as individual ships suddenly lost coordination, crashing into each other or firing at empty space. It's working, Amit exclaimed, his fingers flying over his console. Their fleet cohesion is breaking down. Now's our chance to strike at their command structure. Alina nodded, a fierce grin on her face. All ships focus fire on the largest concentration of enemy vessels. Let's cut the head off this snake. The combined firepower of the human and alien fleets converged on the Void Horde's central mass. For a moment, it seemed to absorb the assault, tendrils of dark energy writhing in defiance. Then, with a silent explosion that rippled across space-time itself, the core of the Void Horde shattered. A cheer went up across the Allied fleet as the remaining Void ships, now directionless, began to retreat or simply shut down. On the planet's surface, the invading forces collapsed, the biomechanical structures crumbling without the hive mind to sustain them. As the dust settled, Alina allowed herself a moment to breathe. They had won their first battle against the Void Horde, but she knew this was just the beginning. The threat was real, and it was greater than they had imagined. In the following days, as human and Orcs medical teams worked together to treat the wounded and repair the damage, delegates from both species met to discuss the future. The Orcs, grateful for humanity's intervention, offered their full support in the war against the Void Horde. Your arrival was most timely, Commander Slith said, addressing a gathering of human and Orcs leaders. We had heard rumors of a young species from a distant arm of the galaxy, but we never imagined. Well, suffice it to say, you've made quite an impression. Alina, representing the human delegation, nodded respectfully. We're glad we could help. But this victory, while significant, is just the first step. The Void Horde is still out there, and they'll be back, possibly in greater numbers. Indeed, Slith agreed, his scales shimmering with concern. But now, thanks to you, we have hope. The Orcs pledge our full support to this alliance. Together, we will drive back the darkness. As the meeting concluded, Alina found herself gazing out at the alien sunset, its 3 suns dipping below the horizon in a spectacular display of color. She thought of Earth, so far away, and of all the worlds that now looked to humanity as a beacon of hope. Penny for your thoughts, Admiral. Dr. Patil asked, joining her at the window. Elena smiled softly. Just thinking about how far we've come, Amit. A few years ago, we were squabbling among ourselves, confined to our own solar system. Now here we are, defending alien worlds, forming interstellar alliances. Amit nodded, his expression thoughtful. It's quite a responsibility we've taken on. The fate of the galaxy resting on human shoulders. Indeed, Elena agreed. But if this battle has shown us anything, it's that we're up to the challenge. Humanity has always thrived when faced with adversity. This is just our greatest test yet. As they stood there, watching the alien night sweep across the landscape, a communication came through from Earth. It was a simple message, but one that filled Elena with pride and determination. Well done, Defiant. The world stands with you. Godspeed, and give 'em hell. Elena smiled. The battle was won, but the war was just beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, and there would be no turning back. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with the indomitable spirit that had defined their species since the dawn of time. All right, she said, turning back to her crew. Let's get to work. We've got a galaxy to save. The journey and initial battles. The news of humanity's first victory against the Void Horde spread rapidly across the galaxy. Species that had long lived in fear of the encroaching darkness now looked to the stars with renewed hope. The humans, these newcomers from a backwater solar system, had achieved what many thought impossible. They had stood against the void and emerged victorious. As the HSS Defiant and its fleet prepared to continue their campaign, they found themselves joined by a growing coalition of alien races. The Orcs, true to their word, had committed a significant portion of their remaining ships to the cause. They were soon joined by the crystalline Xenorians, whose advanced sensor technology proved invaluable in detecting Void Horde movements. Other species quickly followed suit. The Volcarin, a race of energy beings who had long stayed neutral in galactic affairs, offered their expertise in faster-than-light travel. The Murga, feline-like creatures renowned for their tactical brilliance, sent their best strategists to advise the human commanders. Admiral Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of this unprecedented alliance. As she stood on the bridge of the Defiant, surrounded by holographic representations of alien leaders, she couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The Void Horde is regrouping, growled Gorelax, the Murga tactician, his tail swishing in agitation. Our long-range scouts report increased activity in the Centaurus arm. Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the galactic map hovering before them. Then that's where we'll strike next. We can't afford to let them rebuild their forces. Agreed, chimed in Zix, the Xenorian elder, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with determination. But we must be cautious. The Void will have adapted to our tactics from the last encounter. As the Coalition fleet set course for the Centaurus arm, Dr. Amit Patil and his team worked tirelessly to refine their understanding of Void Horde technology. They had managed to salvage several deactivated Void units from the battle at Arxer, and the insights gained from these studies were proving invaluable. It's fascinating, Amit explained to Elena during one of their strategy sessions. The Void units aren't just mindless drones. Each one contains a piece of the hive mind's consciousness. It's like they're all part of one giant, distributed brain. Elena frowned, considering the implications. So destroying individual units is like giving the hive mind 1,000 paper cuts. Amit finished. Painful, but not fatal. To truly defeat them, we need to find and neutralize their central consciousness. This revelation led to a shift in strategy. Instead of focusing solely on destroying Void units, the Coalition began prioritizing the capture of intact specimens for study. It was a dangerous game, bringing live Void tech aboard their ships, but the potential payoff was too great to ignore. As the fleet journeyed deeper into the Centaurus arm, they encountered pockets of resistance from species who had managed to hold out against the Void Horde. Many were initially wary of the newcomers, especially the humans, but word of their victory at Arxer had preceded them. On the garden world of Elysium, home to the photosynthetic Chlorins, the Coalition fleet arrived just in time to prevent a Void incursion. The battle was fierce, with Void tendrils attempting to burrow into the planet's lush forests. Colonel Fatima Hassan led the ground assault, her Marines working in tandem with Chlorin defenders. The humans' adaptability shone through as they quickly adjusted their tactics to the dense jungle environment. "Watch your step," Fatima called out as a Marine narrowly avoided a patch of carnivorous plants. "This place is as dangerous as it is beautiful." The Chlorins, impressed by the humans' respect for their world, fought with renewed vigor. Their ability to manipulate plant life proved to be a surprising asset against the Void's biomechanical units. In orbit, the space battle raged on. The Defiant, now equipped with improved shielding based on Xenorian crystal tech, led the charge against the Void flagship. Elena watched from the bridge as human fighters executed daring maneuvers, weaving between massive Void tendrils. "Now," Elena commanded as the Void flagship's defenses faltered. A barrage of energy weapons, augmented by Vulcran technology, lanced out from the Coalition ships. The Void flagship shuddered under the assault, dark energy crackling across its surface before it finally imploded in a spectacular display of light and shadow. As the remaining Void forces retreated, leaving Elysium safe for the moment, Elena allowed herself a small smile. Another victory, another world saved. But she knew the war was far from over. In the weeks that followed, the Coalition pushed further into Void-controlled space. Each battle brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to learn and adapt. The humans' innovative spirit, combined with the diverse abilities of their alien allies, proved to be a formidable combination. On the gas giant Nebulos, home to the floating cities of the gaseous aether beings, the Coalition faced a unique challenge. The Void Horde had adapted, creating units capable of existing in the planet's harsh atmosphere. "Our standard weapons are useless in this environment," Commander Jae-hoon Kim reported, frustration evident in his voice. Elena turned to their Aether allies. "What about you? How do you defend yourselves here?" The Aether representative, a swirling vortex of conscious gas, pulsed with what Elena had come to recognize as excitement. "We manipulate the electromagnetic fields of our world. Perhaps with your technology, we could weaponize this on a larger scale." What followed was a frantic collaboration between human engineers, Aether scientists, and Xenorian energy specialists. The result was a network of field generators that, when activated, created an electromagnetic storm that tore through the Void forces while leaving the Aether cities untouched. As the Coalition celebrated another victory, Elena couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Humanity, once confined to a single planet, was now fighting alongside beings they could scarcely have imagined just a few years ago. But with each victory came new concerns. The Void Horde was learning, adapting. Each encounter seemed to push them to evolve in new and terrifying ways. During a rare moment of quiet, Elena found herself in the Defiant's observation deck, staring out at the swirling colors of a nearby nebula. She was joined by Zix, the Xenorian elder. "You seem troubled, Admiral," Zix observed, his bioluminescent patterns shifting in a way that Elena had come to associate with concern. Elena sighed. "I can't help but wonder if we're doing enough. Every world we save, every battle we win, it feels like we're just buying time. We still haven't found a way to strike at the heart of the Void." Zix's form shimmered thoughtfully. "Perhaps that is because we are thinking too literally about what the heart of the Void might be. From what your Dr. Patel has discovered, the Void's consciousness is distributed. What if there is no single point to strike?" Elena considered this. "Then how do we defeat an enemy that has no center?" "By remembering what makes us strong," Zix replied. "The Void is a singular consciousness, vast and ancient, but it is also rigid, unchanging in its core purpose. We, on the other hand, are many minds working as one. Our strength lies in our diversity, our ability to adapt and evolve. As if to underscore Zix's point, an alert sounded throughout the ship. Elena rushed to the bridge, Zix floating swiftly behind her. "Report," she commanded as she entered. Amit looked up from his console, his eyes wide. "We've detected a massive surge of void activity in the Orion Spur. It's like nothing we've seen before. They're converging on a single point." Elena's mind raced. The Orion Spur, close to Earth, too close. Could this be it? Are they preparing for a major offensive? "It's possible," Amit replied. "But there's something else. We're picking up strange energy readings from the center of the convergence. It's not void technology. At least, not entirely." Elena shared a look with Zix. Could this be the break they'd been waiting for? A chance to strike at the heart of the void, or at least uncover its secrets. "Alert the Coalition," Elena ordered. "We're changing course. Whatever the void is up to in the Orion Spur, we're going to be there to meet them." As the Defiant and its allies prepared for what could be their greatest challenge yet, Elena felt a mix of dread and anticipation. They had come so far, achieved so much, but she knew that the true test still lay ahead. The fate of not just humanity, but countless species across the galaxy would be decided in the battles to come. As the Coalition fleet entered wormhole jump formation, Elena steeled herself for what lay ahead. "All ships, prepare for jump," she commanded. "Let's remind the void why they should fear the light." In a dazzling display of energy, the Coalition fleet vanished from normal space, hurtling towards a confrontation that would shape the future of the galaxy. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity was ready to lead the charge. As the fleet emerged from the wormhole jump, the sight that greeted them was beyond anything they had encountered before. A vast swirling vortex of dark energy dominated the space before them. At its center, a pulsing core of otherworldly light. By the stars, Emmett breathed, his sensors struggling to make sense of the readings. It's a gateway of some kind. The void is trying to open a portal to somewhere else. Elena's mind raced with the implications. A gateway to where? Another galaxy for the void to consume. Or something worse. As the Coalition fleet moved into defensive positions, the enormity of the challenge before them became clear. This wasn't just another battle. This was the moment that would decide the fate of not just their galaxy, but potentially all of existence. "All ships, battle stations," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Whatever comes through that portal, we stand ready. For Earth, for all our allies, for every free being in this galaxy, we fight." The Coalition ships formed up, a united front of diverse species and technologies, all brought together by humanity's unifying presence. As the Void forces swarmed to protect their portal, the greatest battle in galactic history was about to unfold. Elena gripped her command chair, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex ahead. Whatever came next, she knew that humanity and its allies would face it together. The journey had been long, the battles hard-fought, but now they stood on the precipice of either salvation or annihilation. With a silent prayer to whatever forces might be listening, Elena gave the order that would echo across the stars. "All ships, engage." Turning the tide, the void of space erupted into a dazzling display of energy as the Coalition fleet engaged the Void Horde. Beams of concentrated light, streams of plasma, and weapons beyond human comprehension crisscrossed the battlefield. The HS Defiant led the charge, its advanced shields glimmering as they deflected the dark tendrils of void energy. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes darting between tactical displays and the swirling vortex that loomed before them. "Status report," she barked, her voice carrying over the controlled chaos of the command center. "Void forces are concentrated around the portal," Commander Jae-hoon Kim reported. "They're throwing everything they have at us, but our new shield configurations are holding. For now." Dr. Amit Patel's voice cut in, tinged with both excitement and concern. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the portal. Whatever they're trying to bring through, it's happening soon." Alina's mind raced. They needed to close that portal, but how? As if in answer to her unspoken question, a communication came through from one of their alien allies. "This is High Synapse, Zixlith of the Zenorian Collective." The familiar bioluminescent patterns pulsed on the holo display. "We believe we have a solution, but it will require a coordinated effort." "We're all ears, Zix," Alina replied, hope rising in her chest. The Zenorians' light patterns shifted in what Alina had come to recognize as their equivalent of a nod. "The portal's energy signature is similar to our crystal tech, but inverted. If we can get close enough, we might be able to create a resonance cascade that could destabilize it. But getting close would be suicide," Alina mused, her brow furrowed in thought. Then an idea struck her. "Unless, Dr. Patel, what about our wormhole tech? Could we use it to get a ship close enough?" Amit's fingers flew over his console as he ran the calculations. "It's possible, but it would be incredibly risky. The ship would need to maintain its wormhole field while initiating the resonance cascade. The energy requirements would be astronomical." Alina's gaze hardened with determination. "The Defiant can do it. We'll make the jump." A chorus of protests erupted from both her crew and the alien allies, but Alina silenced them with a raised hand. "This is our best shot, and you know it. Prepare the ship for the jump. All other vessels, provide us cover." As the Defiant's crews scrambled to prepare for what could be their final mission, Alina opened a ship-wide channel. "This is the Admiral speaking. In a few moments, we will be attempting a maneuver that could end this war. I won't lie to you. The risks are extreme. But every one of you knew the stakes when you volunteered for this mission. Today, we have the chance to save not just Earth, not just our allies, but every free being in this galaxy and beyond. Whatever happens next, know that it has been my greatest honor to serve with you. For Earth, for the galaxy. Let's finish this." A resounding cheer echoed through the ship's corridors. As the Defiant moved into position, the rest of the Coalition fleet formed a protective barrier around it, their weapons blazing against the encroaching Void forces. "Wormhole generators at full power," Jehum reported, his voice steady despite the tension. "Zenorian crystal matrix aligned and ready for resonance cascade." Alina took a deep breath, her hand hovering over the command interface. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Jump." The universe seemed to fold in on itself as the Defiant leaped through its self-generated wormhole. For a heart-stopping moment, there was nothing but darkness and the sensation of being everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, with a flash of blinding light, they emerged mere kilometers from the pulsing heart of the Void portal. "Now, Amit," Alina shouted. Dr. Patel slammed his hand down on a glowing panel, initiating the resonance cascade. The ship shuddered as waves of energy poured from its crystal matrix, colliding with the dark energies of the portal. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly at first, but with increasing speed, cracks began to appear in the fabric of the portal. Dark tendrils of energy lashed out wildly, some striking the Defiant and causing the ship to lurch violently. Shields failing, Jehun yelled over the sound of groaning metal. "We can't take much more of this." Alina gripped her command chair, her knuckles white. "Divert all non-essential power to the crystal matrix. We finish this now." With a final surge of power, the Defiant unleashed a wave of energy that struck the heart of the portal. For a split second, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a silent explosion that rippled across space-time itself, the portal collapsed in on itself, taking a significant portion of the Void fleet with it. The shockwave hit the Defiant like a physical blow, sending the ship tumbling through space. Warning klaxons blared as systems failed across the board. "Report," Alina demanded, pulling herself up from where she'd been thrown to the floor. "Multiple hull breaches," Jehun coughed. blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Life support is critical. We're venting atmosphere. The good news, Amit chimed in, his voice weak but triumphant, is that we did it. The portal is gone, and the remaining void forces are in disarray. Elena allowed herself a small smile despite the dire situation. They had done it. They had turned the tide. But at what cost? As if in answer to her unspoken question, a familiar voice crackled over the comm system. This is Colonel Fatima Hassan of the HSS Dauntless. Defiant, do you read? We're coming to get you. Hang tight. Relief washed over Elena. The Dauntless, along with several other coalition ships, had broken through the void lines and were racing to their position. As rescue operations began, reports started flooding in from across the battlefield. Without the coordinating influence of their hive mind, channeled through the now destroyed portal, the remaining void forces were easy pickings for the coalition fleet. Hours later, as the Defiant limped back to the main fleet supported by tractor beams, Elena stood in the observation lounge, watching the ongoing mop-up operations. The door hissed open behind her, and she turned to see Zix floating in, his bioluminescent patterns dimmed in what she recognized as a sign of respect. "You did it, Admiral," the Zenorian said, his patterns pulsing with admiration. "Against all odds, you closed the portal and turned the tide of this war." Elena shook her head, a rueful smile on her face. "We did it, Zix. All of us. Human, Zenorian, Orcs, and every other species that stood with us. This victory belongs to the entire coalition." Zix's patterns shifted in agreement. "Indeed. And yet it was humanity that brought us all together. Your species' adaptability, your innovative spirit, your sheer determination in the face of overwhelming odds. It has been truly inspirational." Elena turned back to the viewport, watching as coalition ships of various designs worked in tandem to round up the last of the void stragglers. "We still have a long way to go," she mused. "The void horde might be defeated here, but there could be more out there. And we've seen how quickly they can adapt." "True," Zix agreed, floating up beside her. "But thanks to this victory, we now have hope. And more than that, we have unity. The bonds forged in this conflict will not easily be broken." As if to underscore Zix's point, a transmission came through on the coalition-wide frequency. It was a message from Earth, broadcast to every ship in the fleet. "To all coalition forces, this is Secretary General Chen of the United Earth Government. We've received word of your incredible victory. The portal is closed, the void horde is in retreat, and the galaxy breathes a collective sigh of relief. But more than that, we've witnessed something truly remarkable, the birth of a galactic community, united in purpose and spirit. To our alien allies, we extend our deepest gratitude and the hand of lasting friendship. To our brave men and women serving in the fleet, words cannot express our pride and appreciation. You have written a new chapter in the history of not just humanity, but of all sentient life. Well done, and Godspeed on your journey home. Earth awaits your return with open arms." As the message concluded, a cheer went up across the coalition fleet. Ships of various designs and origins flashed their running lights in celebration, a dazzling display of unity and triumph. Elena felt a lump form in her throat. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had not only survived its baptism by fire on the galactic stage, but had emerged as a unifying force, bringing together disparate species in a common cause. "What happens now?" she asked, almost to herself. Zix's patterns pulsed thoughtfully. "Now, Admiral, we build. We learn from each other. We grow together. The thread of the void brought us together, but it is our shared hope for the future that will keep us united." Elena nodded, a sense of purpose filling her. The war might be over, but their journey was just beginning. There would be challenges ahead, reconstructing devastated worlds, integrating vastly different cultures and technologies, remaining vigilant against future threats. But for the first time since the Void Horde had appeared on the galactic stage, the future looked bright. "Well then," Alina said, straightening her uniform, "we'd better get to work. There's a galaxy out there waiting for us." As the Defiant rejoined the main fleet, Alina couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at what they had accomplished. Humanity, once confined to a single world, had reached out to the stars and found not just conflict, but community. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and part of something greater than themselves. The journey ahead would be long, filled with discoveries, challenges, and opportunities beyond imagining. But whatever the future held, Alina knew one thing for certain. Humanity was ready. They had braced themselves, sent their warships into the void, and emerged victorious. Now, it was time to forge a new path, not just for Earth, but for all the sentient beings they now called allies and friends. As the Coalition fleet set a course for home, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, a galaxy full of possibility stretching out before them. The age of isolation was over. The era of galactic cooperation had begun, and humanity was at its heart, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw their way. The future, vast and unknown, awaited, and humanity, along with its new allies, was ready to meet it head-on. Victory and aftermath. The return journey to Earth was a stark contrast to the tense outbound voyage just months earlier. The Coalition fleet, battle-scarred but triumphant, moved through space with an air of cautious optimism. Ships of various designs and origins flew in formation, a visual representation of the unprecedented alliance that had turned the tide against the Void Horde. Aboard the HS Defiant, Admiral Alina Rodriguez stood in her ready room, gazing out at the stars streaking by. The ship, like its crew, bore the marks of hard-fought battles. Hastily patched hull breaches and jury-rigged systems were a testament to the ingenuity and resilience that had seen them through their darkest hours. A chime at the door interrupted her reverie. "Enter," she called, turning to see Dr. Amit Patel step into the room, a data pad clutched in his hand and an excited gleam in his eye. "Admiral," he began, barely containing his enthusiasm, "I've been analyzing the data we collected from the collapsed void portal. The implications are, well, they're staggering." Alina raised an eyebrow, gesturing for him to continue. Amit launched into an explanation, his words tumbling out in a rush of scientific jargon and barely contained excitement. The portal wasn't just a gateway, he explained, pulling up holographic models to illustrate his points. It was a bridge between realities. The Void Horde, they're not from our universe at all. They're extra-dimensional invaders, consuming entire realities to fuel their expansion. Alina felt a chill run down her spine as the full implications sank in. So by closing the portal, we didn't just save our galaxy, Amit finished, nodding vigorously. We potentially saved our entire universe, maybe even multiple universes, and more importantly, we've proven it can be done. The void can be stopped. The weight of this revelation settled over the room. What had started as a desperate fight for survival had turned into something far greater. Humanity and its allies hadn't just defended their homes, they had become guardians of reality itself. As the Coalition fleet approached the Sol system, preparations for their arrival kicked into high gear. The news of their victory had spread across Earth and its colonies, sparking celebrations on a scale never before seen in human history. The Defiant led the fleet into Earth orbit, escorted by ships from every nation on the planet. As they descended through the atmosphere towards the landing site outside the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, Alina marveled at the sight below. Crowds stretched as far as the eye could see, a sea of humanity interspersed with the diverse forms of their alien allies. Banners welcoming the heroes home fluttered in the breeze, many adorned with the hastily created emblem of the Galactic Coalition. As the Defiant touched down, Alina took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. This homecoming would be different from any in history. They returned not just as victors, but as representatives of a new era in human and galactic history. The ramp lowered, and Alina led her crew out into the sunlight. The roar of the crowd was deafening, a wall of sound that washed over them in waves. Alina spotted familiar faces in the welcoming committee, world leaders, scientific luminaries, and at the forefront, Secretary General Chen of the United Earth Government. As Alina approached, Chen stepped forward, a broad smile on his face. "Admiral Rodriguez," he said, his voice carrying across the suddenly hushed crowd, "on behalf of a grateful planet, welcome home." The handshake that followed, broadcast on screens across the Earth and to coalition worlds throughout the galaxy, would become an iconic image, a symbol of humanity's new place in the cosmic order. The days that followed were a whirlwind of debriefings, ceremonies, and negotiations. The Galactic Coalition, born in the crucible of war, now faced the challenge of transitioning to peacetime operations. Representatives from dozens of species worked tirelessly to draft treaties, establish trade agreements, and create frameworks for ongoing cooperation. Alina found herself at the center of it all, her experiences on the front lines proving invaluable in navigating the complex web of interspecies politics. In quiet moments, she often found herself marveling at how far they had come in such a short time. One evening, as she stood on a balcony overlooking the lights of Geneva, she was joined by Zix, the Zenorian elder who had become a close friend and advisor. "Quite a view," Zix observed, his bioluminescent patterns shifting in what Alina had come to recognize as appreciation. Alina nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's strange," she mused. "A few years ago, the sight of an alien in the heart of a human city would have caused panic. Now, it feels right." Zix's patterns pulsed in agreement. "Your species has adapted remarkably well. It's one of your greatest strengths, and perhaps the key to our collective future." They stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching as a group of human children played with a young Orcser, their laughter carrying on the night air. "We've made great strides," Alina said at last, "but there's still so much to do. Rebuilding worlds devastated by the void, integrating our technologies, preparing for the possibility of future threats." "Indeed," Zix agreed, his tone thoughtful. "But we do so from a position of strength and unity that would have been unimaginable before." Your Admiral Larson's words have become something of a rallying cry across Coalition space. Alina chuckled, remembering the gruff old Admiral's message that had been broadcast across the fleet in the final days of the war. "You mean brace yourself, human warships are coming." "Exactly." Zix's patterns flickered with amusement, though many species have adapted it. "On Orcser, I believe the saying goes, 'Stand firm.' The Coalition approaches." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle chime from Alina's communicator. "Admiral Rodriguez," came the voice of her aide, "your presence is requested in the main conference room. The Galactic Council is ready to convene." Alina straightened, taking a deep breath. This was it, the formal establishment of a permanent governing body for the Coalition. "Duty calls," she said to Zix, who bobbed in understanding. As they made their way to the conference room, Alina's mind raced with the possibilities that lay ahead. The Galactic Council would face enormous challenges, balancing the needs and interests of vastly different species, coordinating efforts to rebuild and expand, developing defenses against future extra-dimensional threats. But as she entered the room and took her place at the table, surrounded by representatives from across the galaxy, Alina felt a surge of hope. This diverse group, brought together by crisis and bonded through shared struggle, represented the best chance for a peaceful and prosperous future. Secretary General Chen called the meeting to order, his voice solemn but tinged with optimism. "Representatives of the Galactic Coalition," he began, "we stand at a crossroads of history. The threat of the void brought us together, but it is our shared vision of the future that will keep us united. Today, we take the first steps towards formalizing our alliance, not just for our own benefit, but for all sentient life in our universe and beyond." As the proceedings continued, Alina found her thoughts drifting to the future. The closure of the void portal had bought them time, but Amit's research suggested that the threat could re-emerge. The coalition would need to remain vigilant, pushing the boundaries of science and exploration to prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead. But they would face those challenges together. Humanity, once isolated on its tiny blue planet, had found its place among the stars. They had braced themselves, sent their warships into the void, and emerged not just victorious, but as part of something greater than themselves. As the council debated and decisions were made, Alina felt a sense of pride and purpose wash over her. This was more than just the end of a war or the formation of an alliance. It was the dawn of a new era, one filled with limitless possibilities. The galaxy, no, the universe, awaited, and humanity, along with its new allies, was ready to meet whatever challenges it might bring. As the meeting drew to a close, Chen turned to Alina. "Admiral Rodriguez," he said, his voice carrying across the now quiet room, "you've led us through our darkest hours and brought us to this moment. The Council has a request to make of you." Alina straightened in her chair, curious. "Sir," Chen smiled, "we would like you to lead a new initiative, an exploration and diplomatic course, tasked with pushing further into the unknown, establishing relations with new species, and serving as our first line of defense against any future threats." The room held its breath as Alina considered the offer. It was a monumental task, one that would take her far from Earth for extended periods. But as she looked around the room, at the faces of humans and aliens alike, all united in purpose, she knew her answer. "It would be my honor," she said, her voice firm and clear. A cheer went up from the assembled representatives. As congratulations poured in, Alina's mind was already racing with plans and possibilities. New ships to design, crews to assemble, uncharted regions of space to explore. Later that night, as Earth slept below and the stars twinkled above, Alina stood once again on the balcony. She thought of all they had been through, all they had accomplished, and all that lay ahead. "Brace yourself," she murmured to the cosmos, a smile playing on her lips. "Humanity is coming." And with that promise, both a warning and an invitation, Alina turned back to her quarters. There was work to be done, a galaxy to explore, and a future to shape. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning, and Alina Rodriguez, along with the rest of humanity and their galactic allies, was ready to write the next chapter. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if in anticipation of the wonders and challenges that lay ahead. Humanity had taken its place among the cosmic community, not just as defenders against the darkness, but as beacons of hope, unity, and exploration. The void had been pushed back, but the void of space, vast and mysterious, still called. And humanity, with its indomitable spirit and newfound allies, was ready to answer that call, today and for all the tomorrows to come.